Hello, welcome to day 4 of Sun Salutations with me. I am Laren of Yellow Umbrella Yoga. Thanks for being here. Meet me on your mat if you have one. You can also spread a big beach towel or a couple bath towels out just to give yourself a designated space to move. We will be on our knees just a little bit, so if you have a blanket or a towel handy, feel free to have that available for self-care. Otherwise, let's get started. Meet me on the mat on hands and knees. Find tabletop. Let's see if we can get a nice flow going in our ever more familiar movements today. First, let's warm up the wrists. We're on day 4 and we've been working with downward facing dog and kind of a flow that moves from the floor to standing and back. This can do a lot for the wrists. You might even be feeling some sensitivity if you're on day 4 with me as well. So from your tabletop position, think about your hands like feet. Spread your fingers wide, press your finger pads and knuckles all into the mat. Imagine sealing them down so that there's no air underneath them, if that makes sense. Now think about coming up onto your toes. Like I said, think about your hands like feet. So peel your hands, your palms, up off the mat, but leave your fingers glued down. Yours may not come up as high as mine. I can sometimes hyperextend my joints a little farther than may be supportive. So just honor that yours may look unique from anyone else's. So peel your palms up. Do this a few times. We're just going to lift the forearms and shoulders straight up off the ground, gluing those fingers down. And just kind of imagine standing up on your toes if your fingers were toes. Just doing these little like wrist push-ups. You might start to notice some warmth in your forearms. That's okay. It means you're doing good work. Do this 5 more times. Sit back on your heels. Make fists. If you have any rings or jewelry on, it might help to kind of spin larger stones around to the palm side so that the backs of your knuckles can come together. So like I said, make two fists and bring the backs of your knuckles together in center so the backs of your wrists face away. And start to bring action here. So use your arm muscles, use the strength of your biceps to really create activity here. You might even start to quiver. You're pushing so hard together in center. Notice your breath while we continue to warm up, and slowly press your actively pressed fists away from heart center until you feel a stretch in the back of your wrists. Keep pressing your knuckles together. Don't be tempted to let them kind of peel apart as you push them away. If they start to peel apart, you've reached your edge, and just stop there and enjoy the stretch. So kind of do some slow motion, I like to call them heartbeat pumps, kind of pressing your fists away from your chest and slowly, actively bringing them back towards your heart. Inhale, press your fists away. Exhale, bring them close. Last round. Nice work. Extend your right arm long like a stop sign. Point your fingers towards the ceiling. Bring your left fingers to just gently tug your lifted right fingers back towards your face. Nice. Do that on the other side. Extend your left arm long. Make a stop sign with your hand. Use your right hand to gently tug those fingers back towards your face. Stretching the other side of your wrist now. Let that go. Take any soft wrist circles or kind of flappings of your hands that might feel good. Hopefully you feel a little more space in there before we ask them to support us this morning. Go ahead and come onto your back for a moment. Place your feet along the wide edges of your mat and bring your knees together in center. This is a nice way to take any load out of your low back. So take a moment to just feel heavy here. Bring your left hand to your chest or your heart. Bring your right hand to your upper abdomen or your low rib cage, kind of between the bottom of your sternum and your belly button. And just notice as both hands rise and fall while you breathe for a couple of cycles. See if you can slow your breath down. Tuck your chin a little bit and let the back of your neck be long. Maybe lifting your head to lengthen the back of your neck a little bit. And press the back of your head gently into the mat. Keep breathing. And just like we've worked with the last few days, I invite you to practice your Fujai breathing here if you'd like. This is your ocean breath, sort of creating the sound of an ocean wave in the back of your throat. This may or may not be a sound that anyone else in the room could hear. It's just to bring a tactile quality, a sound for you to hear, almost whispering to yourself while you breathe. On your next inhale, begin to bring your focus to your right hand, the one on your belly. See if you can inflate your belly on the inhale before you allow your left hand to lift. When you can't inflate your belly anymore, let your chest fill up, rising your left hand behind your right. Exhale, reverse that. Use your abdomen, use your core to press the air out, letting your right hand lower, and then letting your left hand lower as the air falls out of your chest as well. It might feel kind of strange. It's kind of strange to explain. So just embrace the awkwardness if it doesn't feel quite normal. See if you can learn a new way of doing something that you do all the time. So just softly restricting the back of your throat, letting the air warm up as it moves through your air passages. Pulling the breath down into your low lungs by using your diaphragm to really press all your other organs out of the way, expanding your belly forward. Inflating all the way, and then releasing. Rest both hands along your sides. Maybe stretch your feet out long if that feels okay. And just be heavy here for 2 more breaths. Nice work. Make your way over to hands and knees once more. Take your time, maybe pausing to rest on your side for a bit if that feels nice today. Press yourself up. Come on to hands and knees. Once again, this is a great opportunity to grab a blanket or a towel to give yourself a little extra cushion if your knees need it. You can also double over your mat by just making a little slack in the middle and folding it over itself to give yourself a little cushion. So as you set up, imagine you're on railroad tracks that are just the perfect width, about the same as your hips distance apart. Spread your hands wide, suction cup the whole thing down to the mat. So glue your palms and fingers and knuckles all down. Toes can be tucked or feet can be flat. It's up to you. Sometimes I kind of change partway through. Let's begin a cat-cow cycle. So on your inhale, tip your front hip points forward, dropping your belly toward the floor, creating an arch in your spine. Press the mat away with your hands, rising from that space, almost to spread your shoulder blades apart. See if you can feel a broadness in your chest as you look at the mat in front of you. Exhale, let the movement originate from the pelvis. So tuck your tail first, round your low back. Let it roll like a wave up towards your shoulders, arch your back like a Halloween cat. Tuck your chin, look at your lap. Press the air out, exhale. Inhale, your flow, your pace. Find cow pose. Stretch your belly. Inhale, fill up. Exhale, press it out. Rounding. Tuck your chin. Inhale, belly flows forward. Exhale, tuck your tail. Arch your back like a kitty cat that just woke up from a nap. Tuck your chin. Bring a little more movement into this. So find cow pose once more. Imagine scrubbing the mat like you're going to drag it toward your knees to help lift your heart between your arms. Now exhale as you round your back for cat. Now untuck your toes if they're tucked. And as you are in this arched shape, send your hips back toward your heels. And find child's pose. You can scoot your hands forward if you need to. Now come forward onto elbows and forearms. Imagine that same dragging motion, like you're going to drag the mat towards you. But instead of dragging the mat towards you, drag yourself between your elbows. Notice that, excuse me, notice that the arch in my back has moved towards more of a cow pose again. Keep dragging, lift your elbows. Come up to your tabletop, your cow pose. You might adjust as you need as you continue to do this. Tuck your tail, come back for child's pose. Exhale, stretch. Shift forward, drag your heart forward. Stretch your belly as you lift up onto your hands. Breathe in. Exhale, arch, tuck. Find child's pose. Your pace. Keep moving. Inhale, come forward and lift. Exhale, arch and send your hips back. Inhale, lift, come forward. Stretch your belly low towards the mat. Exhale, tuck your tail, send it back. Pause in your child's pose this time. You can stack palms to make a pillow for your forehead. Just notice how you feel after that little bit of movement. Hopefully, you're feeling a little more connected with your breath just by pairing your breathing on the inhale and the exhale with a specific movement. Nice. Come back up. If your mat is doubled over, you may like to stretch it out now. It's up to you if you'd like to keep your blanket in place. It won't hurt anything if you do. Tuck your toes from your tabletop position. Press into your hands and toes and just hover your knees, maybe an inch above your mat. Draw your belly button toward your spine. Activate your core, your abdomen. Breathe, exhale here. As you inhale, press your hands and feet away so that your hips lift. Come onto your toes. And exhale, drop your heels towards the mat. Walk your feet with baby steps to meet your hands in a forward fold, maybe at the top of your mat this time. For me, the top of my mat is really the top half. Some people like to stand at the very top edge. I like to have about a third of it left for me to have hand space as we get to move in a moment. From your forward fold, press into both feet to lift, rising one vertebrae at a time. Arms and head are heavy until the last. Breathe in, fill up as you come to stand in your tall mountain. Take a moment to think tall thoughts. Grow long out of your crown, if that makes sense. Nice. Now that these movements may be becoming a little more familiar, think about moving before you do the movement. So preparing to be in motion some more. Exhale where you are. Inhale, lift your hands high overhead. Palms touch as you dive forward, exhaling to a forward fold. Hinge at your hips, reach toward the floor. Bend your knees as much as you need to. Inhale, half lift, make a number 7 with your body. See if you can neutralize any arch in your spine. This can be easier to do if you have a mirror or, in my case, a camera available to show you. Exhale as you reach toward the floor, fold again. Plant both hands and step your feet back to the mat, to the back of the mat. Step them back to the back of the mat. Find your downward facing dog. Inhale, lift your heels. Exhale, press them toward the mat. Come forward onto your knees. Pause in tabletop. Before moving through a vinyasa, once again, decide what kind of sequence you're here for today. If you need warmth or softness. We've still got 26 days to build lots of warmth and strength, and this is good work too. So be gentle with yourself if that's what you need. You have the option for your vinyasa to take another cycle of cow and cat. It's a great sequence for a vinyasa. Or alternatively, you can move through bird dog. Let's do that now. Inhale, lift your right hand and left foot long. Exhale them both back to the mat. Inhale, lift your left hand and right foot, reach long. Aiming for level, but it's okay if you end up somewhere else as you learn this. Return to the mat. Tuck your toes, send your hips up and back, find downward facing dog. Baby step your feet to meet your hands once more, forward fold. Inhale, roll up, reach up. Let's do one more sun salutation A with a traditional vinyasa. From your tall reaching, touch your palms in center, dive forward, hinge at your hips, reach toward the floor. Inhale, half lift, flat back, long spine. Exhale, reach toward the floor for a fold. Plant your hands. Step your feet back. Come to downward facing dog, or you have the option of tabletop. Shift forward so shoulders are over wrists. Find plank. If you'd like more softness, you have the option to lower your knees. This builds plenty of strength as well. Keep your elbows in close, grazing your rib cage as you lower on your arms like springs to chaturanga. Lower all the way down to your belly. Untuck your feet. Squeeze your shoulder blades together behind you as you inhale and lift to baby cobra. And exhale, peel down. Let's do that again, looking to the right. Inhale, peel up, baby cobra. Look over your right shoulder. Exhale, peel down. Same thing, left side. Inhale, peel up, squeeze your shoulders together. Look over your left. Exhale, peel down. Press your hips back towards your heels, child's pose. Come onto forearms, drag your heart forward, tuck your toes, press into hands and feet, lift your hips, downward facing dog. And take little baby steps, almost like marching your way from the back of your mat towards your hands in a fold. Inhale, roll up, lift up, stand up. Nice work. Let's do some salutation B. Inhale, hands lift. Lower as though to sit in a chair. So hips come down and back behind you. Option to connect your palms in center for Undulé Mudra to take some weight out of your shoulders. See if you can scoot your knees back in space. This is where I start to feel like I'm going to fall down. So I like to reach far in front of me to counterbalance. Take a breath here. See if you can sink a little lower. Now reach toward the floor, send your hips toward the sky, take a forward fold. Inhale to half lift, hands to shins or lap. And exhale, fold. Plant both hands, step your feet back. Find downward facing dog or tabletop. Shift forward for your version of plank with the option to lower your knees. Keep elbows close, lower to chaturanga. Untuck your toes. Press into your hands to lift for Cobra. If you'd like more, keep lifting, press into the tops of your feet to lift your knees as well. Option to find upward facing dog. Lower your knees. Come back for child's pose. Come onto elbows and forearms, tuck your toes. Lift to tabletop or downward facing dog. Inhale to lift your right foot. Press your heel toward the sky. Three-legged dog. Exhale, step forward, maybe between your hands. Come to runner's lunge. Take a baby step in with your back left foot. Send your toes out towards 10 o'clock or so. When your feet feel grounded, press into both equally to lift. Peel your hands off the mat. Drive your back left heel into the mat to point your hip points forward. Still bending your right knee. Warrior one. Take a breath here. When you're ready, exhale. Plant your hands to frame your right foot. Scoot back with your left foot if you need to. Press into both hands and your left foot to lift your right behind for three-legged dog once more. And lower it to meet the left on the mat. Shift forward for a plank. Take your vinyasa. Lower your knees if you'd like. Keep elbows in close. Lower to your belly. Inhale, peel up for Cobra or upward facing dog. And exhale, lower. Tuck your toes. Press up for your version of plank. Send hips to heels for child's pose. Come onto forearms. Prepare to lift. Press your hips high to the sky for downward facing dog. Nice work. Stay with me. Inhale, lift your left leg behind, three-legged dog. Exhale, step forward, runner's lunge. Take a baby step forward. Send your back right toes out towards 2 o'clock. With both feet grounded, lift your hands toward the sky. Really press into your back right leg, activating the entire back of that leg to sort of press you forward. Lifting hands overhead. Take a full breath cycle here, looking at the sun. Warrior one. And on an exhale, bow down. Plant your hands, frame your foot. Glute your back foot back. Prepare for three-legged dog, lifting your left foot behind you. And exhale, lower your left foot to the mat. Vinyasa again, come forward for plank. Shoulders are over wrists. Make a straight line with your body. Lower your knees as needed. Keep elbows in close, lower for chaturanga. Untuck your toes. Inhale to lift, Cobra or up dog. If you've opted for up dog, squeeze your shoulder blades together behind you like you would in Cobra. Imagine making your collarbone smile. Let your chest be broad. Lower back down. Press your hips up and back for child's pose. Take a couple breaths here, just noticing what this effort feels like in your body today. Notice if you've been holding your breath or if your breath's pace has become shortened or quickened. See if you can bring that same ujjayi, ocean breath sound and quality to your breathing. Maybe you feel like panting. See if you can breathe slowly anyway. Just reassuring your brain that oxygen is on its way, that you're working on it actively, consciously. And stay here as long as you need to. Child's pose is always an option in the middle of any yoga class. I confidently speak for the entire yoga community when I say that. When you're ready to move again, come forward on 2 elbows. Tuck your toes. Press your hips to the sky, downward facing dog. Last time. Lift your heels, inhale. Pivot on the balls of your feet, so both sets of toes go towards the left and your heels come towards the right. Bend your knees a little bit and just let your hips be heavy. Keep pressing into both hands equally. This is kind of a funky twist where you guys are just getting a full moon right in the center of the camera here, but bear with me. This should be a nice side stretch on your left, from your left hip all the way to your left hand, grounded, rooted on the mat. Press into both feet. Come back to center, send your hips high again. Let's do the same thing on the other side. Lift your heels, inhale. Pivot on the balls of your feet, bringing your toes towards the right and your heels towards the left. Bend your knees, let your hips be heavy. Press extra firmly into your right hand. You can even kind of look under your right elbow. Just getting a nice side stretch on the right side. And come back to center. Lower your knees, let them be kind of wide. Bring your heels together with untucked toes behind you. Take one last luxurious child's pose. Stack your palms, rest your head. Take the biggest breath you've taken in the last 30 minutes, filling up slowly, fully. When you think you're full, sip a little more air. Maybe hold it at the top. And exhale, press it out. Maybe open your mouth. Sigh, let it out. We call this dragon's breath. One more time, let it go. You can even stick your tongue out if that feels good or fun. All right, that's day 4. Thanks for joining me. We'll keep flowing for day 5 tomorrow. See you again soon.